Okay, let's. I'm going to share. Actually, let's just start. Look, just a minute, moving into breath and the body, just grounding in our body. So just bringing the mind to wherever we need it to be for the class. Just a few breaths to calm and settle the mind. If you want to do 9-round breathing, if that helps, you can do that. And as a kind of motivation or reminder of what we discussed last week, just a short overview of why puja. Why do we practice puja? What we talked about last week, it's a way to collect merit. So we can just think about this. When we're in meditation, sometimes it settles a little bit more deeply in the mind. It's a way to collect merit and purify. So essential on the spiritual path. Clean up the mind, create a sense of fortune, happiness in the mind. That's collecting merit and purifying. And as we said, the word puja means, its meaning is to offer, offering. Practice of generosity, helping us to overcome miserliness and attachment to the main kind of delusions, obstacles in the mind. So it helps to chip away at those, because we come with this kind of mindset to offer from the beginning, because we have the external, internal and sort of secret offerings, 3 levels of offerings that we try and bring. We talk a little bit more tonight to the puja. And certainly in terms of it being it's a group practice, so it brings harmony when we practice together, sense of dharma harmony. And as Lama Chopa Rinpoche said, group practice is more powerful than individual practice, certainly our level. Once you become a bodhisattva, or an arhat, your practice has much more power. And in some ways we don't need maybe ritual as much. But our level, we need a lot of ritual, puja, to support the inner development of the mind. And doing it in a group, as a group, brings kind of a sense of more happiness, camaraderie, and a harmony in practice in dharma, in spiritual life, increasing the sangha. And of course, so it doesn't become kind of superstitious or overly worldly, What we bring from the very beginning is our motivation, our intention, being really clear on that. Especially if we want the benefits of puja, the inner transformation of our minds into wisdom and compassion, the 2 wings on the spiritual path. And then on a deeper level, the connecting with the deity that we're practicing. Awakening those deeper qualities, more profound qualities that are embodied in the deity. So the puja ritual allows those to ripen much more quickly in us through the method, the power of the method. So again, just checking your motivation. mainly in the Gulick tradition, you say purpose of life is to free yourselves and all beings from suffering and the causes of suffering, karma and delusion. But we could say the pain is samsaric existence, painful states of mind, anger, attachment, fear, jealousy, those which block our wisdom and block our compassion. So purpose of life is to liberate ourselves from these through the awakening of our innate wisdom and compassion. And much more powerful way to do it is through tantric practice, through puja. Connecting with the sublime qualities of the deity, again through a method, making offerings, prayers, chants, requests, that kind of through that method magically opens up those qualities within us. So tonight we're just going to do simple practice, grounding always the teachings in our refuge, practice of refuge. So if we've taken refuge anyway, we need to recite 3 times in the morning, 3 times at night, reflecting on the meaning. So for those who have taken refuge, we're fulfilling that commitment, one of our refuge commitments. So in space before us, like vast sky, what we call Dharmakaya, where all the holy beings' minds abide in the sphere of reality, appears what we call the enjoyment, the Nirmanakaya aspect, manifestation, Medicine Buddha, made a kind of sapphire light, not quite as dark as lapis. Just like we see in the image, I feel it spontaneously manifests there. That blue radiating precious light. And all beings, all samsaric beings, all of us together taking refuge to become, in essence, Medicine Buddha, fully awakened, fully liberated, fully embodied with wisdom and compassion. How wonderful that would be. So we're going to chant once in English, twice in Tibetan. Sangye chodan sogi chognamla janchu bardu dagi kyapsuchi dagi chinso yebe sonamge rola penjir sangye ruparsho sangye chodan sogi chognamla janchu bardu dagi kyapsuchi dagi chinso yebe sonamge rola penjir sangye ruparsho. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. Again, just take a moment for that refuge prayer to settle whatever meaning we have, we understand, just allowing it to settle in the mind. And then to help our mind kind of receive the teaching, maybe retain, hold the meaning. Just do some purifying light and nectar coming from the heart of Medicine Buddha as we chant a few of the mantras together, blessing our mind. We all need our mind blessed as much as possible for it to transform. So feeling like the light and nectar's opening up, transforming and blessing our mind from the heart of Medicine Buddha. Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Raza Samugadi Soha Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Raza Samugadi Soha Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Raza Samugati Soha Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Raza Samugati Soha Tayada om bekanze, bekanze, maha bekanze, raza samugadi soha. Tayada om bekanze, bekanze, maha bekanze, raza samugadi soha. Tayada om bekanze, bekanze, maha bekanze, raza samugati soha. Okay. So I said last week that we would, all of us have this, Hannah kindly offered, is Hannah here? I think it was Hannah, wasn't it, that offered, is that right, babe? Hannah offered everyone the liberation calendar. Did we get that? Did most of you get that? So,
yes, an email.
Yeah, some of you may be familiar with it already, but last week Mary asked me a little bit, so I wanted to open it up for you last week, but I'm going to just mention one point now before we do that, just go over briefly how you use it, because it's really helpful, to also for your lives to do things. Of course, if we don't have any feeling for astrology, it's fine, Some people just they're not interested in astrology, but it is a science, and we are affected by many, many causes and conditions, So this is just another sort of cause and condition that does affect us, the movement of the planets and the different beings under the earth, on top of the earth. There's so many aspects, causes and conditions around us that go into the astrology, as well as the movement, of course, of the moon's a big one. So Mary asked me last week, so the main thing is, a little bit tricky thing with the only thing that's, I think it's not even mentioned in the calendar, but one High Lama Chopa Rinpoche, he advised when we use this calendar, because it's done, as it says here, according to Indian time. It's done on the basis of the lunar calendar, Indian time, in India. So India, of course, are 12 and at the moment, they're usually between 12 to 13 hours ahead of us. So right now, I checked, they're 12 and a half hours ahead of us. And of course, when our clocks change, I think it becomes either 13 and a half or 11 and a half. But generally, so what we try to do with the calendar is we try to use it Indian time. So just to go in there, let me just pull up the calendar a moment. Hopefully this week I can share it. Oh, where are we? What did I do? Stop. Okay, I'm going to share the calendar, a little bit what it looks like inside. You see, so here, how many of us are new to using the calendar? Do we all, yeah, Neil, let's see, I'm just going through everyone. So there's a few of us who don't know how to use it, Kate, and yeah, so that's why I'll just spend a few minutes just to go over what you do here. So you go through into the calendar and it tells you all the days. That explains here in the front when the favourable days are, earth, water. What might be easier to do actually, so I'll go, for example, to a month. We go here. So when we're talking about Indian time, Mary, so just example on the 3rd of January this year, it was good to do a puja on Saturday. You can see here, this Saturday the 3rd is very good for Medicine Buddha Puja. It's a full moon. So what Indian time would mean, that instead of on Saturday, you could still do it on Saturday, but the time would start, you could also start 12 and a half hours ahead. So you could also basically use, the calendar starts from, I think it's, like instead of doing the puja, say at 3 o'clock, how would I say it now? I'm getting mixed up here myself now. No wonder you can't wrap your head around it. I'm not doing a very good job here either. I mean, so basically, Indian time means, I'll take it from this angle. From, say, because it's also sunset. So from instead of doing, you could do it up to Saturday around 5 o'clock, right? From sunrise to sunset that day, from 5:30 to 5 o'clock is a good time in there to do it because of the difference in the time. This is still not really sounding very clear, but you want to basically put the calendar 12 and a half hours. We're 12 and a half hours behind India. So our calendar starts, kind of midday the day before, right? Up to about midday. But because we take it from sunrise, so we say something like sunrise is 5 o'clock on a Friday, we take it from not just 12 and a half hours, but sunrise 12 and a half hours. So we would say that instead of thinking this is Saturday here, we start at 5 o'clock the day before. So it's good to do this puja, say from 5 o'clock the day before Friday until 5 o'clock on Saturday. I hope that's helping a little bit. But you basically apply that to everything. If it's 13 hours, you might say something like 4 o'clock to 4 o'clock. But that's why we often try and do the pujas. So still, it's a Saturday. The main thing is if you do it in the morning, you're fine, But we tend to say from about 5 o'clock onwards, then the day flips to the next day, The thing it flips for us, for Indian time, is the next day. So all these dates, they basically go up to about 5 p.m. that day, and then you're on the next day. Is this making sense, Mary? It's a little bit cryptic. I'm not explaining it very well. I mean, I understand it, but it's not easy to explain.
Well, I get confused. So like for me, like right now, in Kathmandu, it's 8:02 a.m. So they're ahead of India. It's like 9:45, 9 hours and 45 minutes ahead of where I'm at. So I just get so confused, like on
Yeah,
the cutting hair.
so basically what you want to try and do is think that it's not quite the 12, there is a 12 and a half hours, but there's also the sunset thing that goes on as well, sunrise, So if you can keep in your mind that if in any given day if you start from we can actually start a puja here, because they're already into the third at sunset, we can start at sunrise. We can start, their sunrise on the 3rd is like 5 o'clock, say 5 o'clock, right? 5:30. So you take it 12 hours back, and we can start 5 o'clock on Friday with the puja already if we wanted to, and go through to 5 o'clock on Saturday. Because that's a good day that's a good time to do it. But maybe what I need to do is write it up for you, Mary, or anyone else. That might be easier, actually, because it is a bit of a... it does kind of boggle your head a little bit. So, Sam?
I'm just wondering if the distinction is like using a time zone calculator. So if you see on the calendar that it's good to do Medicine Buddha Puja on January 3rd,
Yeah.
you could use a time zone calculator for wherever you are, and that for India, compared India to wherever you are. And then that's kind of using
There
January
is
3rd
that, but
in
you also
India.
take the sunrise into consideration, So you actually have to have the
Oh,
sunrise time. And generally,
oh,
so yeah, this is another aspect of it as well. So you want to do, because so for example, on Saturday morning, say the monks are doing a puja at 5 o'clock, and the reason for doing this as well is because it becomes more powerful. Because really the day starts in India at 6 o'clock, yeah? 5, sunrise, it starts at sunrise. So we want to do our puja on the same day, India time. So from the day the sunrise starts, say it's like 5:30, then we can start the puja here, and we can do it all the way through to their kind of sunset time, say. So it's kind of a little bit more during the daytime as well.
oh, okay.
So it's from sunrise Indian time. And of course, you're 9 hours difference there. We're 12 hours over here, so it depends where you are. So you want to find out what the sunrise time is on the Saturday, Indian time, and do it, do from then and for another, for that whole day. So you can do from 5 o'clock Friday all the way to Saturday, because that's the start of their day. Is that making sense now? I think I'm getting there a little bit better this time. So that's what's a wee bit more tricky. You start from their sunrise time, and then you take a day from there. Mary?
Thank you. So can you just repeat what you said? The sunrise Indian
So
time.
you find out what time the sunrise Indian time is on the Saturday when the puja's going on, when it's good day to do the puja, and then you apply that to that would probably be, for you 9 hours. We're going to be 9 hours behind that. So yours would start that Friday, I don't know, 8 in the evening or something,
And then what time do they typically end then? So like if it's India time, 5 a.m. start time, what is the ending time typically?
It's 24 hours from there. So you'd finish, you do a whole 24 hours from their sunrise. So if you started 8 p.m. on the Friday, you would finish 8 p.m. on the Saturday. Yeah? Making sense? You do a whole 24 hours. It's just that somehow it starts from the beginning of their day, not like midnight, but actually the day. That's how it's worked out. So that makes it a bit tricky. It's not just like from midnight their time, we start from sunrise their time, or sunrise, and then we move from there, So we start on a Friday with whenever their Saturday sunrise is, say it's 6:30, we then go back 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours from wherever we're from. And we then we do the puja for any of that during that 24 hours. However, just so we don't get too tight about it, of course it's wonderful to do it all day Saturday. It's not a fault if you don't do it in the Indian time. Hi Hannah, thank you for offering this calendar. Now we're trying to just work it out. So I don't want to complicate too much, I mean, of course you can do these. The main thing is we have these dates that are really good. If you can manage the Indian times, that's wonderful. And what I might do is write something up for next week. So you've actually got a little paragraph. I'll do that, and I'll give that to Bay to give you. Yes, Bay?
I assume for precepts, we still have to observe the local time.
Yeah, precepts is different because we have to do sunrise our time, We have to take it before sunrise our time, yeah. So precepts, I haven't heard anything different about that. And the thing is, it's completely fine if we do the pujas even on the 3rd in the evening. It's still powerful, but Children Rimshi's just saying it's a bit more powerful if we do Indian time because this back calendar's based on Indian time. So it's not, don't think it's not right, we can't do it, we've done something wrong. It's just, and also there's more of a collective, India is a powerful place. That's that's what the calendar's based on, lunar time there. It's also where all the Buddhas achieve enlightenment. So there's a power with connecting into the energy there. And also there's a lot more in terms of Buddhist practice being done on those days. The monasteries, even in the Hindu other traditions, they all observe powerful days on their lunar calendar, So we're kind of connecting with a very powerful group practice as well. But I'll write something up because it's still it is a bit tricky to get our heads around. But so anyway, the calendar dates kind of look like this, and it shows you all these FD, FF, FD, FWW. These are all telling you if it's a favourable day. An unfavourable day is UD, So all these here, if you go back here, you find out what the meanings are. Favourable day, air, air, favourable day, earth, earth. Unfavourable days are these ones, So unfavourable days are more powerful than the favourable days, unfortunately. And it tells you why they're on, what things you don't want to do on these days and what things you do want to do. Unfavourable day, earth, air, it's not good for wealth and property or medical procedures. Now that's quite important, That can help. And then full moon, new moon, prayer flag, good days to... It actually can be quite an obstacle if you hang prayer flags on the wrong day. So that's one of the key things we use this calendar for, is hanging, if you want to hang prayer flags in your house, to hang them on the right day. It makes it much more auspicious. different days to do pujas. So of course we have, and then what eclipses, the Pauri eclipses, 8 Mahayana precepts, as Bay mentioned. So it's very, very helpful. I mean, even for weddings and for gatherings, there's so many things, not inviting guests for parties, no funerals or cremations on that day, no medical procedures, so no memorials or wakes. So it's quite, it can be very helpful if you're sort of sensitive to the changing energies that are around us all the time, There's also one, as I mentioned, for not cutting hair, so I try and observe that when I'm shaving my head. So if you want to get a haircut, you can observe that, So yeah, this just gives you an idea. And of course, as we're doing Medicine Buddha practice, it tells you the days that it's good to do Medicine Buddha practice. It tells you the day on the 26th, good to do Tara Puja. Now, it doesn't mean you can't do it on other days, for sure, but it's just there's a bit more power on doing it on, especially full moons, new moons, and the Tibetan 8th. So just a little bit of an overview of that, very brief, I mean, that could be a whole class almost on that calendar, but I'm not going to do that, But you get an idea, how helpful it can be. Okay, so now we go back into the main content of the class. Last week I started talking about the power of the Medicine Buddha practice. And if you remember, the first thing we mentioned was that the Buddhas, and this is a key thing, Medicine Buddha practice, that they made as bodhisattvas, the 7 Medicine Buddha brothers they're called, they're 7 Medicine Buddhas. During what we're in this degenerate time, which I explained a little bit more last week, they made very powerful prayers for us. They had great compassion for us because they see there would be a lot more obstacles for us to be able to practice Dharma. Wars, famines, disease, calm for the elements, and just our own inner obstacles as well, So their prayers were directed towards us. So Lama Chopa Rinpoche says, whereas some other praxis are not so powerful in these times, this one becomes particularly powerful for us doing Medicine Buddha practice or puja because of the power of the vows, commitments and prayers. And when you're a bodhisattva, there's like 9 stages or 9 grounds you go through what we call the bodhisattva bhumis, different grounds and paths you move through until you achieve enlightenment. And through those paths you make many aspirations and prayers, So when they become a Buddha, it's like those prayers have the power of these prayers kind of come to fruition, So because when you become fully enlightened, so whatever prayers they make have such a power to benefit others. If we connect with those Buddhas, those bodhisattvas, there's a power for us to receive the blessing, the quality, the inspiration, whatever we need through the particular prayers they made for us. Another reason why this is powerful, the Medicine Buddha practice, and I'm going to read something out of this, as it says here. It's like making an offering, a prayer to all the Buddhas. Now, sometimes this can, if we're kind of newer, that can be a little bit hard to wrap our head around some of this. It's not necessarily in our conceptual reality right now, But slowly, as we purify, these things start to make more sense. They start to touch us more. What does it mean? Making an offering is the same to all the Buddhas, I mean, we can imagine all the Buddhas, that's something very powerful. Anyway, what it says here, I'm reading out of this Power of the Mantra book that I recommended for the class. When Manjushri, let me just stop the share so you can see me. When Manjushri, in the presence of all the 7 Medicine Buddhas and Shakyamuni Buddha, requested the Medicine Buddha to grant his mantra, they all in one voice granted it and explained its benefits. So what that means is when the Medicine Buddha he was requested, what's your mantra? You've achieved enlightenment. They all have mantras, yeah? So what's yours? I mean, it's all in a different realm, non-conceptual realm to us, but nonetheless, they do communicate with each other. So we try and imagine, wherever they are, they're saying like, okay, you're enlightened now, so what's your mantra for sentient beings? We want to know, And then when he said the mantra, all the Buddhas in one voice exclaimed the mantra. So somehow that means it has an incredible power that when it came to, when it was kind of first introduced, kind of exclaimed, it was exclaimed by all the Buddhas. So that gives it a very, very powerful energy. So if we can just, somehow work with that, but this is what it's saying here. So as it says in that quote, reciting the Medicine Buddha's name and mantra equals reciting the names and mantras of all the Tathagatas of the past, present and future. Now there's been gazillions of Buddhas have come in the past. There's gazillions that will come in. Well, this fortunate Ian, we actually have 1,000 Buddhas who kind of manifest in this world, show the aspect of achieving enlightenment in this world system. We're on Shakyamuni Buddha's number 4. And all the Buddhas of the future. So we just try and feel, let's just get in a sense of like, wow, 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 wow. As Lama Zopa Rinpoche would say, wow, 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 wow. So powerful. A little bit more about so let's just talk the two things that, a couple of things that make the power, the mantras and the names of the Medicine Buddhas, the mantra, the practice very powerful, is those two, the generation of the times and how they dedicated for us, and because the mantra especially was exclaimed by all the Buddhas, I say it all at the one time. So other benefits of Medicine Buddha. From the Puja, this is a verse in the Puja, Bhagavan with equal compassion for all, whose name, when merely heard, dispels the suffering of the lower realms, dispeller of the disease and the 3 poisons, I prostrate to Medicine Buddha Lapis Light. So again here, Bhagavan, it's just another expression for one who has destroyed, it's another expression for a Buddha, and it literally means someone who has destroyed the gross and subtle delusions in the mind. Destroyed's quite a strong word for some of us Westerners, I'm going to destroy, but, they've managed to pacify, purify, get rid of, however we want to put it, They've overcome gross and subtle delusions in the mind. And they also have the ability to do the same for others. So it's not just they've done it themselves, but they've developed the power and ability and capacity to help others destroy their gross and subtle delusions in a very, very powerful way. Right, so it's again, these are all filled with, like these, even one verse is filled with so much meaning, we're just going to say briefly, but, the more we study Dharma, the more we understand how incredible, and it takes some years, how incredible Buddha mind is. It's absolutely mind-blowing what our minds can do as we move through these, what we call gross and subtle delusions, it's unbelievable. And that's really, in a way, of course, our masters, our gurus, our teachers embody that. And that's what gives inspiration, but also studying the qualities of the Buddha and like thinking, wow, can I really do that? But we want to start feeling like we can, and the more we do these practices, especially Tantra, very powerful for giving us a confidence, because it's a powerful way to purify and transform the mind from a beginning, to give us a confidence to feel our Buddha nature, feel it opening up, awakening, feel that we're slowly having some ability to move through our stuff. We want to move through our stuff. We want to feel light and happy and clear and wisdom and more compassionate. So this is the Buddha, Bhagavan, someone who's, there's no more to develop and there's no more to purify. He's fully developed and fully purified. Equal compassion. So, that sounds easy, but again, our minds are full of friend, enemy, stranger. we still don't have complete equanimity, So for a Buddha, they always say, whether someone's punching him on one arm and beating up one arm, or torturing him on this side and giving a massage on the other side with the other arm, the compassion is non-discriminating, has the same compassion whether someone's harming or someone's helping. And that's really mind-blowing as well, when we really think about that more, what that mind is, And so equal compassion for all also means that for us, they have great compassion for us. Lower realms. This is another powerful, as we just go through a couple more of the benefits. Dispeller. So when their name, so again, this is something, a big part of the Medicine Buddha practice. When we do the puja, we recite the names. Many of us have done the puja before. Why do we recite the name? This is one of the reasons, because they made a prayer, when somebody hears my name or hears my mantra, may they no longer be born in the lower realms. And because they have completed the power of prayer, then when we do that, that happens, you know. So that Rinpoche, he really emphasises doing this for our pets. How many of us have pets? Mary, Sam, this is Kai. Yeah, this is one of the key practices, reciting the mantra or reciting the names into your pet's ears, because by hearing that, it can purify their karma and get them out of that rebirth. Some of us might not quite have kind of digested what the whole teaching on the lower realm yet, you know. But basically, it's something we have to think about, you know. It's a little bit scary sometimes to think. We don't want to think about it, a bit of aversion, you know. But when we really look into the animal realm, even from the view of, and we think about reincarnation here, you know, where our consciousness is going to go, even in this world, there's so many more animals on the earth, in the air. If you count all in the earth, in the air, and under water, then there's humans. Even on the earth, there's more animals than humans. Never mind in the water. You know, so it's like, how easy it's so we can see it's not easy to be human, because there's so many more animals, you know. So just from our perspective, you know, so from our side to recite this, the benefit we get, and also to help the animals, it's an easy way to do these praxis. And here I have a picture of the 5th Dalai Lama, is because he did this practice extensively. And you know, when you read, I read a little bit of the biography of the 5th Dalai Lama, but Lama Zopa Rinpoche says that actually the Dalai Lama did this practice. It was a strong emphasis in his daily practices, you know. And they say that because of his practice in Medicine Buddha, it was because there was a lot of development in Tibet. He's like one of the most famous Dalai Lamas. He built, you know, commissioned the building of the Patala. He was the first Dalai Lama who became the spiritual and the not the kind of political leader of Tibet. He was the first one and he created a lot. He did many other things at that time. And Rinpoche says, and from his biographies, a lot of it's because of the Medicine Buddha practice he did. And at that time, he also was able to establish a lot of peace in Tibet. You know, to be like many other countries, you know, they had a lot of neighbours, a lot of wars with different neighbours and factions. But during the time of the 5th Dalai Lama, he was able to establish a lot of peace. And they say it's because, big reason is because of the Medicine Buddha practice he did during that time. So when we do pujas, that's one of the things we pray, you know, we do it for one of these reasons, you know, as we see here. So of course, we know it's powerful it's obviously clear, it's powerful to help sick and have a quick, it's also powerful having a painless death. If you do that a lot for someone who's passing, Medicine Buddha practice, to have a good rebirth. Pacifying sickness also caused by spirits, outside interference. So a lot of the time we do Medicine Buddha practice for someone, a lot of a lot of causes of sicknesses comes from what we call outside harm, spirit harm that we're not able to see. So by doing this Medicine Buddha practice, it can pacify those spirits. Another benefit is prevent us being controlled by others. Now this can happen in obvious ways and less obvious ways in our life, yeah? Even our bosses, whatever, you know. So this is supposed to help you not to be so controlled. You know, sometimes we're in relationships or work situations or whatever. So and where there's harm or quarrels and it's difficult, you know, maybe you don't feel like you have a lot of power, you know. So it can help to a little bit increase your power, not in an egotistical way, but just in a way where you can sort of do more benefit when you're generally, maybe before you're receiving an inability to do things because you're more controlled, you know. So it's quite important. Tara's also very powerful for that as well. And as I mentioned, as you see Lama Zopa Rinpoche doing here, Rinpoche did extensively reciting mantras and prayers in the animals. And many High Lamas say this, it's not, we love our pets, no question, we should love our pets, and it's wonderful. The West is a great example. In the East, sometimes not so kind to animals, So in the West, we're generally we are pets and things much more kind, but we also need to benefit in the Dharma, so reciting. But there's also recordings available through FPMT where you can download recordings of Lama Zopa Rinpoche reciting mantras. And you can play them, maybe when you're out for the day, you can play it in the house when the pet's at home. Some of you might, does any of you do that already? Some of you? Yeah, I thought you might do, Sam, yeah. Some of us know about it already, but for some of us it might be new. But it's really a powerful way to help when we think about it more deeply, to really help our animal to get out of the lower realms, It's very difficult to train our minds in bodhicitta and emptiness in an animal rebirth, if we think about it much more deeply, So it's a limited birth, and of course very few animals are pets, A lot of animals suffer much more, So whenever we can benefit an animal in this way, it's wonderful. When I walk around Vajrapani and I see deer, I try to chant some mantras to them, Another one here is reciting over meat, especially Medicine Buddha mantra, but also for those of us who, eat meat, to recite and then blow on the meat when we eat it, it can purify that animal's karma. Rinpoche even says you can do it on your shoes, you can do it on your bag, you can do it any leather you've got, But especially when you're eating meat, we kind of have to do that. And again, all the lamas absolutely who eat meat, they do say a lot of mantras before they eat meat, They bless the food and they also recite and blow on the meat. So for those who pass away, when we pass it, if we want to do prayers for those who are passing, the two main that Lamas open. Now, different Tibetan traditions, Nyingma Kagyu, they have their different texts that they recommend, So depends on your Lama, your Guru, the connection, your Lama's connection with these practices as well. But for FPMT, two main ones are Medicine Buddha practice, either the puja or there's a small, shorter meditation, and the King of Prayers. That's a beautiful prayer, aspirational prayer for practicing on the Bodhisattva path. It takes about 15 minutes to recite. So you can also Google that and find that on our FPMT store. I think you can just download it by donation. But they're the two main for passing away. Powerful for mothers who need to give birth, so it's easier, you have less pain at birth time. And as I mentioned in terms of the fifth Dalai Lama, and definitely it's one of the practice we do for peace, creating world peace, happiness, and success, a general success for the country. We should pray for that anyway. Rinpoche has quite an extensive motivation. We will always try and pray for the success of the centre, the countries, to have peace and harmony everywhere. Pacifying untimely rains, epidemics, earthquakes, any harm from the four elements. So we have our inner four elements, earth, water, fire, wind. And then from the outer elements, pacifying harm from fire, water, wind. So, this becomes quite crucial, in this time as well, doing these praxis, so we don't have fires, lack of rain, earthquakes, these things coming more in the world. So it's very powerful for pacifying them before they happen. And a key one, because look, the title is the wish-fulfilling jewel, Medicine Buddha practice. So a key one here, we have to really tune into that. It's for fulfilling our Dharma wishes. Our general wishes for success in our life. Because if we have a happier, our life's easier, our work, our job, our family, it is easier to practice Dharma. Of course, difficult family situations give us an opportunity. But as newbies, beginners in Dharma practice, we need harmonious conditions. Yeah, we need to be harmonious. We need some happiness about. Doesn't mean we don't have some challenging people, but we need harmonious conditions. As I said last week, powerful for. We do it regularly here at the centres, as Lama Zopa Rinpoche is saying. If the centres have many expenses, need financial support, this is very powerful, good for prosperity. Bringing about the needs for our Dharma practice. Once we're at the level of Milarepa, then we're okay, we're good to go, we've got the inner wealth going already, but we're not there yet, so we do need we need to come to retreats, we need to attend teachings, things cost money, so like that, very powerful for that, and fulfilling kind of really any level of prayers we have that of course are going to benefit ourselves and others, and sometimes I've found when I do these practices, it's like sometimes fulfills things you weren't even thinking about, It's like, wow, I never thought about that, and a really positive condition comes, because of course the Buddhas see everything. The Medicine Buddhas are omniscient, so and I felt like that very much around Lama Chopa Rinpoche. They know ahead of time what you need, when you start to tune in, when your refuge gets a bit deeper, your connection with your teachers get deeper, your practices get deeper. It's like you get more and more protected in a way with what you need. It doesn't mean that you don't still have some challenges, but in terms of your needs to practice, to be able to practice and develop, they get more and more, they kind of manifest more easily through the power of especially something like Medicine Buddha practice, Making, as Rinpoche says, making your life a little bit easier. If life's so difficult, struggling, or we're controlled a lot, or work so hard, we can compassion for ourselves. The Buddhas have compassion for us, so like that, very compassionate. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, So just that just in a little bit nutshell. There's many other benefits, but this is the mantra. Ta om bekense, bekense ma, bekense raza samaguti so ha. Mantra in Tibetan there as well. Just in a nutshell again, benefits of the mantra. What it means really. So all the mantras, within them, they all contain the whole path. I did a class, I think Anna Marie was at that one. We did the class on the Tara practice. So all the mantras, within them contain the whole path, So Tayata is meaning like here it is contained, or sometimes it's and thus, that here it is, Om contains within it these three syllables, A, O, Ma, pure body, speech and mind of the Buddha. Sometimes we say Om, A, Hom is the body, speech and mind. But even within Om, it says it's the most succinct kind of syllable of containing the whole qualities of the Buddha, Om, right there, the body, speech and mind of the Buddha. First bekense refers to eliminating pain, elimination of pain. And when you do mantra, again, always say it's like a request. May the qualities of the mantra ripen in me. That's what we want to do. May they awaken in me. And the first one is, may the elimination of the first level of pain, I'm in samsaric existence, it's in the nature of pain. May I be liberated from that. Birth, old age, all the problems of our body and mind, even the pain of losing others, suffering a change, that we're under the control of, we're not quite getting satisfaction in this life, So many, not going into detail with that, but basically eliminating kind of the byproduct of the second bekense, which is the cause of that suffering, karma and delusion. So I may be free from sort of the side effects or the byproduct of being under the control of karma and delusion, and may I be free from that as well. The root cause of all the suffering and problem, karma and delusion. So may that awaken that capacity, that ability, because to free yourself of that, we need wisdom. So of course these mantras embody, the kind of both qualities of wisdom and compassion. These two we need as to liberate our mind. And the third one, Maha Bekense, is the path of the higher capable being. We could say the first Bekense is the first capable being, The second bekense is the middle capable being. And the last one's the higher capable being, when we get more and more capable and able to even eliminate the subtle imprints. Like the garlic, and then you take it out, That's like taking garment delusion out of the mind, but we still have this smell, you know, kind of a little bit stain, you know, smell of the garlic in the container. So we still have subtle imprints, even when we realise emptiness directly. We need to remove those stains, and that's the path of the higher capable being, removing. Another way of saying is self-cherishing. So we're requesting that healing those 3 levels within our being as we recite the mantra. Opening up our capacity to be able to do that with our mind as we recite the mantra. May that capacity, these 3 levels of capable being, these 3 levels of capacity, we have our Buddha nature, may it just become more strong, more powerful, more clear, more compassionate. Building that up through the power of mantra. Activating, on another level we could say, activating the healing power of our body and our mind, especially our mind. And also in this book, Power of Mantra, I just wanted to put it here because at the end of the class I'm imagining there's a few of you who might like to have the slides. Any hands? Yep, Mary. I mean, it's always helpful. There's something you might think, oh, I think I got that in that Medicine Buddha class. I'll go back and look, you know. So I'll send the slides, and because and also, you know, if you have the Power of Mantra book, then you've quite a lot to work with there. But this is a beautiful, short, very simple meditation. I mean, it says you can do it over medicine, but you could do it over your food, you know. Especially if you're maybe sick, you know, and you're having challenges with food. I've had that karma. So to purify your food, to make it more powerful for you, it's a lovely, I'm just going to let you read it, you know. So that's a very sweet meditation, very straightforward, that you can do if you're taking medicines, if you take supplements. I mean, we all take something, usually, you know. Supplements, maybe when you get the whole container, you can just very quickly do a few of the mantras over the container and just blow, you know, also you can dissolve, but after you recite the mantra, you can blow on it as well, you know. So this is a sweet practice for healing and blessing your medicine. You could do it for your animals, you know, bless your animals' food like this. Bless their water. Very important, you know, or just say a few mantras over their water and blow every time you put the water and food down for them. Do a few of the mantras. Taking care of their enlightenment. Taking care of their future rebirth. We love our animals, we take care of them, we just need to go a step beyond that with the mind. We have to take care of once we have an animal, it's like, and we're Buddhist, we have to take a responsibility for their mind, you know, if we can, this is like bodhisattva, yeah? Those of us who have taken bodhisattva vows, we have to take care of in simple ways, you know. A few mantras over their food, you know, reciting a few mantras at night. When you go out, leave some mantras playing in the house, you know, for them. And that way we really take care of the future rebirth. Okay, so elements of the practice. So it's just a few, I mean, this is just touching on a few benefits of the practice. So when we do the puja, excuse me, I'll just get some water. Again, many of us have done the puja a few times. These are just some of the elements that go into the puja. Next week I'll pull up the practice and just show us a few more parts, point out a few more parts. But mostly this week, these are the elements I wanted to go into. So key thing is here, as it says, black foods. Ideally, if you do Medicine Buddha practice on a daily basis, you know, if you do it every day, it's good to do in the morning, you know, because it's more powerful when we do Kriya Tantra belongs to, and I did a few of us here did the introduction to Tantra class a few months ago. So it's key point when you do Kriya Tantra practice is to try and, avoid black foods. When you get to the level of high Yoga Tantra, everything, you can do everything there, you know, pretty much. But the Kriya Tantra is very much what makes the practice more powerful is a sense of cleanliness. So when we do the altar, we make the offerings, We keep everything as clean as possible, and that includes kind of our body, you know. So foods like onion and garlic, I mean, they do, you know, they've got a smell, you know, and an after smell too. Meat, and eggs, you know. So and also so keeping a sort of as much as possible, doing this when we've been, you know, and the best time, of course, as we eat meat, is to do it in the morning. Because even if we have eggs at breakfast, well, it kind of affects the power of the mantra, the power of the practice. So when we engage in the puja as much as we can to try not have those foods that day is best. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but it just makes it more powerful. That's really across the board. But as I say, Kriya Tantra practices like Chenrizig, Tara practice, there's Namgyalma, long life practices, as much as we can to avoid those foods. It means that you get the blessing of the deity. That's basically what you're trying to receive. You're trying to receive the blessing, that being in your heart, in your mind, you know. So that we need these kind of conditions for that to happen in this practice. And then so the other elements are refuge and bodhicitta, doing that prayer as we did in the beginning of the practice, the beginning this evening, 7 limb, visualization of the Medicine Buddhas, prayers, praises and prayers and requests, and mantra recitation. So what I want to kind of focus on tonight is the offering. Because, you know, as I said, puja, or for the next 15-20 minutes, puja is very much about coming with this spirit of offering, this spirit of generosity. But before we do that, I just wanted to, some of us know already, because offering is part of the 7 limb practice as well, you know, so just really for this, again, I'm going to give you this, you're going to get this at the end of the class, the end of the course, but just showing you a little bit, the 7 limb practice is so key. Every practice we do in this tradition has this 7 limb, you know, as a foundation. 7 limb is practiced all the way up to enlightenment. It's not just for us beginners. You know, it's practiced by the bodhisattvas. I mean, look, the practice of offering. For example, the Buddha offered his body before he achieved enlightenment. You know, in his previous life, he offered his body. That's the highest offering you can make, you know, offering your body. There's nothing more precious to us than our body, you know. So it's, you know, he continued. When you read the biographies of the Buddha, the previous life stories, Jataka tales, the Buddha gave many, many lifetimes of making offerings, you know, many, many lifetimes prostrating and revering previous Buddhas and bodhisattvas. All these he practiced over many, many lifetimes. And the one that's really clear is the practice of offering, as I say, especially in his previous life, when he offered his body to the tigress and the cubs, you know, the starving cubs, or starving tigress, you know, so very, very moving. So no question that we need to practice this limb of generosity as much as we can, you know, all the way up to it's perfected. Now, of course, the Buddha, when he offered his body, was an Arya being, you know, he was already had a direct perception of emptiness. So we're not asked at this level, don't worry, we're not asked at this level to give our body, but it's just showing, you know, the example that even at the level of high level beings, they're always practicing offering. It's fundamental, along with these other limbs, you know, they're called limbs because they're the legs. They're the legs we need to travel, to use and travel on our spiritual path, you know. So each one here just showing, each limb, the benefits of each one, what you get, you know, why you do it. So when you do the Medicine Buddha practice, for example, when we do the puja, we do the 7 limb prayer 11 times. It's either 10 or 11 times. I think it's 11 times because we do in the beginning. I think in terms of just the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the lineage Lamas. Then we have 7 Medicine Buddhas, 7 brothers who practiced together, achieved enlightenment, and each made individual prayers and vows to benefit us. And then you have Shakyamuni Buddha, And then there's 2 other times when I think you prostrate to the Dharma and you offer all the 7 limbs. So it's something like 10 or 11 times. So the benefit of that is after doing this puja 2 or 3 times, we get very familiar with the puja because there's a lot of repetition, as I mentioned last night. And that's why in many ways Medicine Buddha Tara become quite easy, because we also in the Tara Puja we do the 7 limb 4 times, you know. So we start to get very familiar with that. So that's why it's good to know. It's good to kind of be aware, start to get to familiar with why are we doing it, you know. There's these incredible benefits, you know. For example, please remain until the end of cyclic existence, purifies karma, we are teachers, and to achieve the mortal body of the Buddha. But we're also, so basically, in often when we do that, what we do is we offer a Dharma wheel, you know. That's the next one. Here we offer, anyone know what we offer? Let me ask. When we do remain until the end of cyclic existence, we try to visualize offering something. Anybody want to put their hand up if you know? Oh, nobody knows. Not even Bay. Not even Mary. Well, what we offer here is, you know, the throne. We offer the throne with traditionally in Tibetan Gompas, you have a throne with a double dorje, right? And that means stability. Even when on the front of the throne, we always have these what we call a vajra, double vajra, and it's kind of asking for the stability of the long life of the guru. So when we say please remain, it's like always be with us. May we always, and it's a kind of always saying like, yes, we want the guru to live long, but we always want to be guided. We always want to meet teachers who guide us. We all want that karma, you know. Turning the wheel of Dharma is kind of obvious, you know, to always meet the teachings, you know, and not just that, but we want our minds to be receptive to the teachings. There might be teachers all over the place, but we may not have a receptivity. So this creates a karma for us to have kind of thirst for the Dharma, to meet the right teachers at the right time, that slowly we move out of samsara. You know, or maybe quickly. I mean, ideally quickly, sorry, but, you know, gradually, we have all the causes and conditions. We're creating that for this and future lives. So this is why it's fundamental, because you can see, you know, once we understand the nature of our samsara, and we understand the qualities and benefits and how long it takes to get enlightened, you know, what we need for that, we see we need a few lifetimes, you know. It's not, for some of us, might be this life. I don't know, you know. Wonderful, you know. But if not, we need to plan that it's going to take a few lifetimes, you know. As I said, it says in the tantric teachings, you know, if you practice over 16 lifetimes, or even less, you meet and practice tantra over, especially high yoga tantra, over a number of lifetimes you can get enlightened, you know. But we need to, so this is why we need to plan, you know. We plan easily this life, but we need to make plans for future life. So this 7 limb includes all those plans. It's all set there for us. We do it so that we're creating the karma for that all the time. We must have done it in our past lives, because we're here now. We've done it before. We've been very kind to ourselves in past lives. We are all living in, we have problems and challenges, but we've met the Dharma, we've met teachers, we have an interest in the teachings, and even we have a relatively good life. So we've done a lot. I always say it's been very kind to ourselves in past life, very skillful practitioners in our past lives. So we need to just maintain that for a few more lifetimes. And this is what the 7 limb does for us. It maintains that stability and ability to meet in future lives. Bay? You had a question?
When you said to offer a throne, do we we visualize a throne when we recite that verse?
Yeah, you actually visualize a kind of throne with a double dorje on it, you know, like the Buddha's throne. Usually the typical Buddha throne as well often has a double dorje. So we try and imagine visualizing that. Yeah, and you offer like that. That's the idea. And then with the turning the wheel of Dharma, you imagine offering a Dharma wheel. you know. It does, there's also something about Brahma offering the wheel, but I never really, sorry, connected with that. I just like to offer it myself. So, you know, and we've seen these wheels, you know, the nice wheels you get that sometimes, you know, we often offer that to His Holiness the Dalai Lama to continue to turn the wheel of Dharma. And so we can imagine many of our bodies offering wheels. You don't just like, here's me and I'm offering. We can be many, many bodies offering a Dharma wheel, you know, or all sentient beings offering a beautiful wheel, and mentally, may you teach the Dharma, you know. Ladan?
Yes, is it the throne with the white lion with the ears that is not like this? The with
Yeah, I don't know if you need to visualize the lions, but yeah, usually it's like that because the Buddha has the lions, but there's also a double dorji there. Let me just check that because I
double
tend to
doji.
just...
Okay.
The double dorji is the key one because that's for stability and longevity. So that one, just, you know, and again, you can, if you've seen one in a meditation room, then you just bring that to mind, you know. That's the easiest way to do, probably. Any other questions? Okay.
Sorry, I have another question
Yes.
that
Yeah.
it's when we say when we are doing puja for any puja and we don't we actually we have not to eat the dark meat, dark food. Is
Black
it for
foods.
the day or for all the time that we are doing
Well,
it?
that's a
Or
good question, yeah. So it's actually for just before. So that's why I'm saying if you do your praxis in the morning, then you can eat eggs after, you can eat meat after. It's before you perform the puja. You know, so that's why it's generally good to do our Kriya Tantra praxis in the morning if you eat meat or, you know, you plan to
yeah,
eat meat or
before.
eggs or
Okay.
onions or garlic. Because, I mean, of course, a lot of us cook with onion and garlic. So that's why we do Medicine Buddha practice here and Tara Puja here in the mornings, you know, here. So most of us will not, unless we've had eggs for breakfast, you know, but it's good to think like that, you know, if I'm going to do this puja, then I won't have eggs for breakfast, you know, if you can manage, you know, it makes it more powerful. There's these conditions that you know, there's always conditions because it's ritual, you know, so as I say, we do the outer offerings, and part of the offering is offering the cleanliness of the body, you know, ritual's very much about that. So power of offering. The second one, let me just stop this a minute. Something's happening with my screen. Start again. Okay, that's better. So, why is offering so important, you know? Well, as I mentioned in when we started, it's a direct antidote to miserliness and attachment, the two delusions. So everything, I mean, what is Dharma? You know, it's an antidote. It's healing the delusions. You know, so every time we offer, we're just slowly chipping away at these delusions in the mind, you know. And of course, you know, when we practice the Lam Rim, we want to develop bodhicitta. You know, on the path to enlightenment, there's all these 6 perfections that we need to develop, you know, as a bodhisattva. And one of them is the perfection of generosity. So when we do puja, it's a very good way, easy way to practice generosity because we make these different types of offerings. It's chipping away at self-grasping. So I have a picture of Yangtze Rinpoche here because he always has when he teaches, quite a sweet way sometimes of saying things, you know. And I remember I listened to one teaching and he said, you know, these two parts of ourselves, self-grasping, grasping at the wrong view of self, you know, the fundamental delusion that we have that binds us, causes rebirth, ignorance, which causes self-grasping, you know. So that one, and self-cherishing, the one that we want to move, I mean, we work on, obviously, in the, you know, the general path, but also more so when we go through the bodhisattva path as well. So it's chipping away at those, you know, every time we offer, we create merit, we purify, it's chipping away at these 2 main parts of ourselves that we need to open up When we're self-grasping, self-cherishing, mind's small, it's small mind. Everything's more around ourselves, our lives. We have some kindness, we have some compassion, but it's still limited by self-grasping and self-cherishing. So puja is kind of through merit purification, it's opening up pathways for us to get out of those two states, those two deep habits in the mind. Creating pathways through purifying, collecting merit to see our self-grasping, see our self-cherishing and slowly release ourselves from that. Particularly powerful because it's in connection with a deity who embodies the complete purification of self-grasping and self-cherishing. And that's what I said, Yangshi Rinpoche said, the deities actually, when we see the deities in images, it doesn't really express. Some statues do look really beautiful, We have the Karmatsi statues right now, images of the Buddha. We can't see the enlightened bodies, what we talked about in Introduction to Tantra, the Sambhogakaya, the enjoyment body, the Nirmanakaya, that's the Medicine Buddha, we can't see them, but they're incredibly beautiful bodies, We can't see that, but so what Yangtze Rinpoche says, our self-grasping and cherishing is kind of blocking that inner beauty that we have in there, our Buddha nature, our potential to achieve these incredible, beautiful bodies, And offering is one of the most powerful ways to open up that inner beauty because it creates pathways for more compassion and more wisdom, and that's when our inner beauty starts to really open up. I mean, we know when people are really, really kind, really good-hearted, they have a certain beauty. When we see our lamas, His Holiness, he's 90, but he has a beauty. Everybody loves him, You can't stop looking at him, when especially when you're there. I mean, it's just mind-blowing when you see His Holiness, when you get to see, I had the fortune to see him last year in person, when we all line up, 500 people line up and get an opportunity to see His Holiness for 2 or 3 minutes, very close. Not 2 or 3 minutes, 2 or 3 seconds. And it's just unbelievable. The beauty in the face, the softness, the power. There's a power there as well, Because we would say His Holiness, he's got this gross body, but he's opened up this inner beauty, bodhicitta, fully, and wisdom realizing emptiness fully. So the beauty just exudes from him, in another way. It's very powerful. So offering is for us at our level, is a way for us to. It's a really powerful way to start to open up those pathways in us, this connection with these deities, and slowly, so we gradually become the deity. This is why Lama Zopa Rinpoche emphasised so much the power of practice of offering for us, Something we can do right now, it's in our capacity. Creating causes to have a beautiful mind of bodhicitta. So here, there's a room around the stupa at Kopan, where Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and some as we'd have seen online, during COVID, or just, I think when the COVID wasn't as, when people could go out a little bit more. The Bodha Stupa is a very powerful stupa in Nepal. All the Tibetan traditions have monasteries and centres and everything around that stupa. And so we had a room there, and it was dedicated to offerings. It was called the offering room, as it says here. And you can see how lovely. This is a huge big water bowl here. It's massive, It's about, it's about 4 feet wide, It's just one big bowl. You can't see it completely there, but that's a huge water bowl. We have like small, few centimetre size water bowls. It's a huge water bowl with many flowers in it. Then there's all different types of flowers and light offerings, and you can see there also what is a Dharma wheel. Can you see my mouse? Yep, that's the Dharma wheel, that I was talking about. And these are huge big butter lamp offerings. So these are filled with butter. They get filled constantly with butter and they're light. And these are like medicine offerings and food offerings. So I mean, also when you go in there, it's so beautiful. Your mind just opens up. It's the same when you come to Vajrapani. We have a beautiful altar with all these flowers and lights, and it helps the mind to open up, yeah? And so offering, it's actually a karmic result of making offerings, making your altar beautiful. As the karmic result is having this beautiful mind of bodhicitta. So that's why when we do pujas, we try and make the offerings as extensive as we can, you know, and beautifully arranged, you know, and it makes the mind happy. We get creative, can be fun, enjoy, you know. Power offering is also, and as I say, Lama Chopa Rinpoche, this is Lama Chopa Rinpoche, shopping for flowers for the garden. And of course, Rinpoche would put them in the garden, but they spend a long time doing extensive offerings. So he thought Rinpoche didn't put them there. He did put them there because they looked nice, but it was an offering. You know, everything's an offering. And dedicated for all sentient beings' happiness and enlightenment. So one time, Rinpoche came back from buying, I don't know, some $100 of flowers, you know. And Roger, Venerable Roger, was Rinpoche's attendant, you know, for many years, and secretary for like 40 years, you know. So he kind of took care of the finances, I guess, in some way, you know, managed the finances. And Rinpoche's style was always like complete generosity. There was like never any end to the generosity, Rinpoche's generosity. So when he went flower shopping, it would be, you know, a few $100s, and then he'd spend some time making the, you know, doing the meditation, making the offerings, making it extensive. But one time, I think Roger was checking the receipts. I don't know if Roger had maybe went flower shopping, maybe he hadn't went, but the receipts came back and it was like $300, $400, $500 for flowers. And Roger's like, Rinpoche. And, you know, he was just like, well, Rinpoche, that's quite a lot of money on the flowers. And Rinpoche got quite kind of, sometimes Rinpoche would laugh because Roger would make a lot of jokes, but Rinpoche got quite serious and he said, we need to make offerings all the way up to enlightenment. He said that it just was like, and that just always stuck with me, you know, because I lived at the house, and it was just like, okay, that's something I need to listen to, you know. And as I said, the Buddha offered his body the before he achieved enlightenment, you know. So we just, it's not like we give away everything and go give away our body. I'm not saying that, but we have to have this kind of, it's a puja. Our whole life's a way, it's a puja. It's an offering service. When we work, we offer our service to others, you know. It's not just a job, you know. We're offering our service in that situation, and fortunately we get help, you know, we get our needs met, hopefully financially with that, you know. So it's having this kind of attitude you're offering all the time, you know. That's what we bring to puja, but we just kind of bring that in our practice, in our life. That's bodhicitta. Okay, I'll get your questions. I'm just going to finish a couple of other slides and then we'll do questions. And I was also, you know, so offering a statue. So, you know, this was something, again, at the time of the Buddha, when the Buddha passed, a high bodhisattva asked the Buddha, well, when you pass, how can we make, you know, if we want to make offerings, is it good, or how do we do that? And the Buddha said, you know, whether I'm here or whether you make an offering to a painting or visualized or a statue of me, it's exactly the same benefit, you know. And as Rinpoche says here, offering a flower to a statue or a visualized Buddha creates the same result. Now, for those of us who have studied karma a little bit, you know, one of the aspects of karma is that our karma, whatever karmic seed we implant in our consciousness, increases, positive or negative. Okay? So whatever we're doing, our body, speech and mind, the karmas we're creating, they gradually increase in our mental continuum, day after day, week after week. There's an increasing aspect to karma. And also because these are made, so that's very wonderful when you're doing good karma, you know, when you're making offerings. So why is it powerful? Why does it go all the way to enlightenment? First of all, because karma increases. And secondly, because it's offered to a Buddha, and the qualities of the Buddha are infinite, you know. So our karma increases, and we're offering it towards the object, the Buddha, the object, the power of the object. The Buddha is so powerful, the qualities are so infinite, that just offering one flower takes care, in some level, takes care of us for many, many lifetimes. We create so much merit from that through many, many lifetimes. So again, karma's tricky. Karma's something we can't really see right now. But I think once our mind becomes more and more purified, more and more goodness, we can feel how that good karma is increasing, just momentum, the momentum keeps going in our mental continuum. There's a momentum that goes with that. And here I just wanted to show, and then we'll do questions. So this is one Medicine Buddha Puja that we did here. So of course many of us can't do this at home, set up 8 sets of offerings and do all these things. Well, we don't have the ability or the time. But the best thing is, and as I find very nicely when we do the pujas here, people are quite generous when they make offerings online. So I always, I try to say, now becomes your altar. If you made like a $10, $20, $30 offering toward the puja, you need to think, okay, this is my altar, not like me, myself and I, but I've participated in all these offerings on behalf of all sentient beings. Not just thinking, oh, there's the altar at Vajrapani. We want to put some more, we want to invest mentally a little bit more in that, because if we come here and we prepare the offerings, we put them out, then we feel that already. We already feel that karmic connection because we've done it, But I think it's good to feel that if you can make a money offering, if that's what you can do, and then you think, but I've offered all this, And of course, as we go through the puja and the offerings, we multiply them more as well, so they become more extensive. Here are again all the different benefits we get from the different types of offerings that we make. Each offering has a different karmic results. Not just one, of course, many results, but this is just a summary here. So again, you'll get this handed out to you at the end, so you can, if you want to look over it. I mean, light offerings kind of more obvious, creating luminosity in the mind. Incense for morality. Water for drinking and washing is to purify the mind, clear, makes the mind lighter, light and able to, water's highly absorbent, so we able to absorb our minds are we can sort of feel the moisture of the teachings. We absorb the teachings, become like a sponge for the teachings. So all these offerings have many different levels of benefits. So this is just a summary, and of course food. Of course, to receive our spiritual nourishment, but also to be able to have the food as samadhi. At a certain level, we don't need food. Our mind's so rich in our realizations, we don't need food, We can sustain off of samadhi, the power of our meditation. So eventually to create the cause of that. So questions? Ladan. Give your hand up.
Yes, my question was about when you do offering and then you take like the food, or imagine you put chocolate and then you take it and you eat it. I don't know is it the ritual to do that? Like otherwise it's like you grab something from Buddhas.
No, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought it up, Ladan, because I didn't think about putting this in the course material, but there's a mantra. Because it's true, you kind of offer to the Buddha and then take it back,
I know. Each
So it's a
time
little
I
bit
do
strange.
it and I say, oops. Sorry.
Yeah. It's strange because we can put offerings, and I mean, I always encourage everyone, if you have an altar and you buy fruit, put it on your altar for a day, offer it.
Yeah.
Because you create okay, you are going to take it back and eat it, but still we're creating this habit of generosity, habit of giving, habit of making offerings where we can, especially if we have limited resources. We may do, so we try to use what we can with our limited resources. There's many ways you can be skillful and still create generosity. So you're right, there is a mantra that you recite, and I will make sure I will bring that next week. And that'll be another thing I'll send you. So I have the mantra. There was something else I was going to put together for next. Oh yeah, the explanation of the calendar a little bit more. So I'll make sure you have both of those. So there is a mantra that Lama Chopa Rinpoche kindly found for us in the texts that stops you kind of feeling like you're taking something back, that you're stealing a little bit, It's like, it feels a bit like I've offered it to you. So you can say this mantra that purifies that. So I'll put that in the materials for next week as well. Madhulika?
This is kind of odd question, but a lot of the times, at least in Hindu pujas, there is a sense of bodily cleansing before coming into a contact with a holy object.
Yeah.
This might be, for example, bathing beforehand, or wearing clean clothes, or for example, removing your shoes, or for women potentially like not being in your when you're menstruating, for example. So are there those kinds of
Yeah, so I think, definitely because this belongs to the Kriya Tantra level of practice, Cleanliness of the body is very good, being clean, because we're inviting, in a sense, we're inviting the Buddhas. The beginning of the puja is inviting the Buddhas to come, So, of course, when we do it at the centres, we have the place clean, the altars are clean. Our cells are ideally clean and fresh clothes, not coming. And if you do come at the centre, it's like when people go to church. And sometimes it's interesting with because we have that kind of training. And it's true, because Madhu, this was in your culture, so you're used to it because it's in your culture. But it's still Buddhism. Sometimes it doesn't always translate. Some things we think, people would dress up when they went to the church, right? You don't go in your old work clothes. You don't go in your shorts. You don't go in skimpy clothes to the church. But sometimes that doesn't translate with the Buddhist centre. Sometimes people don't quite get it. It's actually the same etiquette. Because you're going into a kind of spiritual place, a sacred environment. So it's very true. So, and we often have up at centres, like the clothes that's not just for pujas, but any kind of spiritual teaching. And especially if monastics are teaching, not to come in with skimpy or guys to come up with really short shorts, I know sometimes it's hot, but we can wear light trousers, So it's good to kind of be It is very good, whether it's teachings or pujas, to come sort of clean and as nicely dressed as we can. That creates a certain merit. That is an offering. It's an offering to the place, to people, to others. It's not just about us. You can actually see that as an offering. Because maybe yourself, you're like, well, I'm not into really... You don't have to go dressed up, necessarily. But we can see that. And when you practice Kriya Tantra and you visualise yourself as the deity, when you have the initiation, when you bathe, when you put clothes on, everything you're offering to your inner deity. Once you have this initiation, once you can visualise yourself as a deity, you put the clothes on and you think, I'm offering to the inner deity. I wash my face, I'm offering washing water to the deity, not just me, myself and I, It's all about transforming, slowly opening up that inner quality of the deity, who is a divine being. So we have that inner divinity, so it's different methods. So thank you. Good question, Madhulika. For women, in terms of women, I haven't heard any restrictions on women's cycle. I've never heard that in the Tibetan tradition. Everybody's welcome, no matter what for women, what cycle you're on. Or I never heard any of those kind of restrictions. So did that answer all your question, Madhulika?
Yes.
And of course, anyway, at the centres, we don't wear shoes inside the gompa,
Yes.
Good question, yeah. It just brings up, but as I say, that kind of we should have kind of that approach to all the practices, yeah. As Westerners, we feel, as we would do in church, we kind of try and translate that into the Buddhist centre, something similar. We don't have to come with our fancy hats. And actually, ideally, you don't wear a hat in the centre, That's one way it changes, We're not really supposed to wear a hat during teachings, because it's kind of like a little bit feeling like you're closed off. You want the teachings to go in. This is one of the most powerful places, is our crown, So we want to feel like we're absorbing the energy of the teachings through the crown as well. So ideally, we don't wear hats. It's kind of regarded in the East as disrespectful, In the West, that's okay, People wear hats in churches, but not so much in the... But other than that, I think everything else is kind of similar, same approach, same mindset. Any other questions? No? Comments? Anyway, thank you. It was good questions. We're on 8:30 now. So we've got one more week. Next week is going to be 2 hours because I do want to go over a few of the mudras. I'm also going to have videos for the mudras as well, though. So hopefully that'll help. There's not a lot of mudras for Medicine Buddha, but I'll also share the other mudras, Argam, Pajam. We have one of Geshe Zopa doing that. That doesn't come up in the Medicine Buddha, but I will share that for those of you because it's anyway on, you can find online. So I'll send that to you. And you can have that. And but if you have any questions and you're afraid to ask, you can always get in touch with me. I have an email address, so you're welcome to, Bay has that, so you're welcome to contact me anytime. Madhu, one more question?
Yeah, one last question. Venerable Angie, will we be able to do any sort of meditation on the Medicine Buddha next week?
Meditation, well, the idea was that we're going to do the puja together on the 31st. Is it be? Yeah, we have a Medicine Buddha Puja that we're doing at the centre on May 31st.
For Sakadawa.
For Sakadawa. So that's because this is really about the puja, but there is a Medicine Buddha meditation practice, but once you kind of have familiarity with the puja, the sadhana is even easier. And I'll send you the link for the sadhana as well, so you've got that. But once we know the key elements of the puja, once we've done that a few times, the actual Medicine Buddha sadhana, the daily practice is quite simple. You know, it's the puja is a little bit more elaborate because there's more repetition. Bay?
I have a question.
Did you have something yet?
Yes, ritual implement. Whether we keep ours at home or we bring them to the center.
You can bring them to the centre, yeah. I'll go over briefly the Dorjian bell, although not, how many of us here have initiation? Because actually it's something you're supposed to do only when people have the initiation. That's my only other concern as well. But I can go just sort of in a general way of the Dorjian bell, how to hold it, you know. But yeah, if you're coming to the centre, bring your Dorjian bell because you can practice at that time. So next week we're going to just finish off the power of the offerings and go through another couple of aspects of the mudras, chanting, and that's mainly what we'll cover next week. And just a general, so you've got a general outline of the puja. But hopefully when we do the puja on May 31st, you'll feel maybe a little bit more prepared. A bit more understanding of the puja, the benefits, how you do it. You know, that's the idea. So hopefully some of you'll be able to join for that. It is on this special day of celebrating the Buddha's birth and enlightenment and parinirvana. So it's a very powerful day, like 100 million times benefit. More powerful doing it on those days. When is the puja? Bay can maybe put up the date in the chat. And let's just spend a couple of minutes just to dedicate. Actually, I think I can find the dedication prayers. Documents. Okay, good. I will share the dedication prayers. Here. Hopefully it's here. Yeah. Okay, so just as we finish, taking a moment to, is there anything particular that kind of stood out for us in the class that we want to, as I said last week, chew on a little bit more as we finish the class, just take away with us? And then dedicating, as we do, as Lama Chopa Rinpoche's style, as Rinpoche would say when we do these verses, due to all the past, present and future merits So we make it more extensive, of myself and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and all sentient beings. So we bring all the positive energy, all the sentient beings, the past, present, future, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, each of us here. Because to develop bodhicitta is so important for the world. When we see all these great holy beings who have bodhicitta, how much they can benefit. So how wonderful it would be if we can make more strides, more momentum in developing at least really powerful imprints on our mind to develop bodhicitta, wisdom, realizing emptiness with this precious human life. How wonderful that would be. And we dedicate all these merits in this way with these verses for that to actualize in our hearts and minds. Chanju senju rinpoche mage panam gegurshik yeba nyamba meba yi gone gondu pelwar shuk. May the precious supreme bodhicitta not yet born arise. May that arisen not decline but increase more and more. Toni tawa rinpoche mage panam gegurshik yeba nyamba meba yi gone gondu pelwar shuk. May the precious view of emptiness not yet born arise. May that arisen not decline but increase more and more. For His Holiness's long life, for all our long lives, for all the gurus, our spiritual teachers, every being practicing virtue and goodness to have a long life. Incomparably kind and supreme Tenzin Gyatso, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, may have a long life, and all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. All right, thank you so much for coming and your good questions. I've got one more class next week, fit everything in. And I did ask you to come with any questions, but I guess you came with your questions, whoever had questions.
Next week, please come to Ocean of Compassion in Campbell if you're local.
If you're local, if you can. Be lovely to see you. Thank you again. Take care.
Thank you very
Enjoy.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bay. Thank you, Venerable.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you, Babe.
Thank you.